Welcome to the Bleav Podcast Network SoCal Sweat. My name is Anne McDaniels, a former NFL cheerleader and product manager turned actress and model who dreams of being a UFC fighter. Meow. Learning strategies to help motivate others leads me to bring you interviews each week from a range of athletes, experts in fitness and nutrition, and so much more. Thanks for listening to Bleav, the #1 podcast for working professionals, and let's push our endorphins to higher performance through SoCal Sweat. This is your host, Anne McDaniels, and welcome to another episode of SoCal Sweat. In this episode, we learn that we truly are what we eat. And my guest today, Alex Catalano, will show us what foods we can add and eliminate to our regimen to make us feel like $1,000,000. But before I introduce you to Alex, I want to tell you a little bit about her success. Alexandra Catalano is a healthy lifestyle expert, 2-time TEDx speaker, and the creator of the blog and brand Eat Cute. She has appeared on Hallmark's Home and Family, Fox's Good Day LA, Lifetime's Supermarket Superstar, WGN, The CW, San Diego Living, Comedy Central, and The Elite Daily Show. She's also written for numerous publications such as Mind Body Green, Oxygen Magazine, Muscle and Fitness, the list goes on and on. Besides that, Alexandra has helped hundreds of clients across the country meet their healthy lifestyle goals and has hosted countless workshops across the country. And I'm very excited to introduce you to Alex Catalano, who will highlight what foods to add and eliminate to our diets to make us feel like $1,000,000 for a total body makeover. How are you today, Alex?
I'm so good. How are you?
Good. I have loved following your great messages, and you've done a plethora of media, from TED Talks to Fad Fit Fun to Lifetime to Good Day LA to Hallmark, Comedy Central, you name it. You've been talking about your story and you've been inspiring others along the way. So without further ado, please tell us your such an interesting background as to what led you to the Eat Cute blog.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't know if you would resonate with this because you're just so beautiful and fit. But when I was, it's true.
I'll give her $20.
Yeah, no, you are. And so when I was growing up, I feel like my whole life, I was always trying to look a certain way, and I was always chasing that, and it felt really hard. And so I was always looking at celebrity diet books and magazines because I'm old enough that Instagram and Facebook wasn't really a thing then. So those were my resources. And I always felt like I was trying all these celebrity diets and nothing worked. And it particularly kind of came to head when I was in college, because that was the first time I was on my own and making my own decisions about food. And I don't know about you, but growing up, I was always taught that food was like the enemy, like don't have too much of it, or, like do low fat, or just live on shakes. And it was like this very big diet culture where I felt like I was always struggling between binging and then being very restrictive, and it felt really tiresome. And so when I was in college, I unfortunately, like most women, I had an eating disorder, and I had a really bad relationship with food. And it wasn't until I saw how I got so involved in trying to look a certain way that, I was studying to be an opera singer, and I kept losing my voice. I wasn't focusing because I had no food in my body. I was just or eating crap. And I had this big aha moment when I started to learn about holistic nutrition, where I discovered that food is actually the answer to all of your problems. Food can actually help you perform better, feel better, look better. And kind of having that new relationship with food really sparked my, I was like, why is no one talking about this? Like, food is great. Because back then, nowadays it's everywhere. Like, we all love holistic nutrition. But back then it wasn't being talked about as much. So I thought it was so cool. And that's how I started my blog.
You really discovered it on your own, because it's like you said, it's everywhere now, and you figured that out for yourself. But your body was literally talking to you and losing your voice. Maybe it was the lack of energy, but it was probably telling you need to stop, or we're not going to let you go further in succession with this opera career. So
yeah, it's crazy. Because gosh, it's so interesting. And that's what I love so much about holistic nutrition, because it's everything, right? It's, I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't having good relationships. I was stressed. Like, all of those things have, you could eat all the kale you want, but if you're stressed, you're not sleeping, all of those things, you're putting chemicals on your body, you know, through makeup or products. It all adds up.
It really does. Now, a couple things struck me in your past. I think you had said that you had a sister who could eat everything under the table, and you were counting like your special case.
Totally.
And did you grow up that way always? Like, was she a ballerina and you weren't, or was there a competition there?
Yeah, you know, my sister just was one of those people, like, she's just always been able to eat the way she wanted to, and, you know, I found it so frustrating as a kid because I was like, "We're eating the same, like, why?" And I think that's what's so cool. Now I see it as a cool thing. At the time, I was like, "What the hell?" Like, but
Yeah.
at the time, like, all our bodies are so different, you know, and different foods work better for different people, and it, you know, I was going at it at the mindset like, you know, I can eat like everybody, like we could all eat the same thing, but that's not how it works.
And even when people say like the keto works for some people, doesn't work for others. I mean, there's genuine examples of that. Now, when you said that, was it just besides the celebrity diets that taught you not to eat a lot? Was it also within your own family? Because you come from an Italian family, and
Yeah.
stereotypically that's not the case.
Yeah, no, like my mother, and I love her dearly, is, you know, she was not that typical Italian mom that was like more. My mother was like, "Oh, we better watch out," or like, "Don't eat that," or like, you know, "Let's go to the gym," which I appreciate. She really wanted me to feel good and look good and be confident because I was very frustrated by the way I looked. But I unfortunately, you know, my mother's the kind of person that can have like a cookie and that was enough for her. I didn't have that same control. I mean, if I had a cookie, I'd have the whole box. And I think it was really hard for her to understand like that we were different, you know, like that.
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, it was a different experience. And I definitely was a closet eater because of my mom. I would totally like, you know, try to get some things in the kitchen down my throat before she came in the room to judge me or make me feel, and I know you know, looking back, I know she wanted the best for me. It just, yeah, wasn't maybe communicated in a way that I would recommend now,
Right.
but I'm very grateful for it because it made me really understand when I work with clients that kind of have a similar dynamic with family members or friends or anything like that. I feel equipped to help them.
It's very common, and you can help so many people. Now, did your mom, and we're saying anything
No,
bad.
we
She's
love
very
we love
interesting bad.
her. We love her. Totally.
Absolutely. Did she treat your sister differently? Like, was she not as strict with her on that? So
Well,
it was
yeah,
like verbal.
totally. Yeah. Well, Francesca could eat, my sister's name Francesca. She could eat whatever she wanted. So it was like, you know, my mom definitely was just like, "Oh, well, Francesca can have it, but you can't." You know,
Oh gosh.
it was hard, you know,
Yeah.
but I just, my sister and her have a very similar body type. My sister will eat cookies and stuff that I can't eat, but my sister has like 2 bites and then that's it.
Sure.
I'm hungry. I work out 6 days a week. I'm a hungry girl.
And this is why we eat whole foods, because you can have
Oh my God.
I'm also quantity.
Yeah.
That doesn't, like a 5-star restaurant, those little tiny, I appreciate food and I'm a foodie and it's beautiful,
Oh.
but this little portion's not going to make me, that's an appetizer. I want a lot of great abundance of healthy foods and eat a lot, because it's just
totally
makes it's more satisfying. So
yeah, no, I mean, you know, you know what, now that I know more, it's like, it really depends upon what you're doing. So like, you know, if I was sedentary in front of a desk all day, then yeah, I might want to eat less or lighter foods, but I get up 6 days a week, go to the gym at 5:30 and work out with weights, and I'm hungry.
Exactly. No, you're an energetic girl and you're busy. So what led you, I was so excited when you got on the TED Talk circuit, and I'll put all the links, you know, below from the podcast.
Thank you.
How did you stumble upon that? How were you asked? Were you nervous? I mean, it's a big topic to talk about.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. So fun story. My boyfriend, he had done, and one of the reasons why we connected was we kind of knew each other, and he had posted that he had done the TEDx talk, and it was so great, and it really made me feel like wow, he's so smart and eloquent and lovely. And so that's how we kind of started dating, and that kind of kindled that. And then after that, it was always been my goal to do a TEDx talk, because I did TEDx, which is different. It's a little bit different than TED. These are independent.
Still the TED umbrella. I'm so impressed.
Thank you so much. One of the people he knew had posted like, "We're looking for speakers," and I applied and I got in, which was so cool. And I've done 2. So that was the first one I did. And let me be real, I don't memorize things well. Memorizing things I'm a speak from the heart kind of girl. So when I had to like memorize like all these pages, and it's like, you know, 7 minutes of memorized material for me, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die. But, you know, I just practiced it every day. I walked, I did it. I lived and I breathed that talk, and it was great. I did it. Now, something really sad happened when we did that TEDx talk is the venue that had hosted it had horrible, they didn't prepare very well for tech. And so they did not get the footage of any of our talks, which was devastating because it was really sad. So,
oh my God.
I know. So they didn't get any of the footage for any of the talks. And it was kind of like, there's so many people who had spent, you spend months preparing, and it was really horrible.
I mean, and for them, that's a pretty reputable company to screw up that badly.
Yeah, no, they felt pretty bad.
Well, so then for what I've seen, what I've watched you on, and that I'm so glad you said that about the memorization, because when you were speaking, I'm like, did she have all that memorized? Because it was just like, you did not make one break. There was not one stutter.
I felt
one thought of like, I can't remember what I was going to say. Like that's, my fear when I public speak. And you were speak from the heart kind of girl. And because of that came across, your story came across so genuinely. And your self-deprecation, which is, you have to add that. That's funny. And that's.
Thank you. No, it was terrifying. But I got the opportunity. Somebody else that I had known from meeting during the first TED Talk, the TEDx talk, she was like, I'm going to organize another one and I want us to do it again. So we got to do another TEDx talk, and that's how you were able to see the one that I did.
Got it.
It was so cool because that one specifically was all women. So it was just a very fun, like supportive group of women. So it was very special. I had a really good time doing that.
I bet you got wonderful feedback from the audience. Can you go in the audience and talk to them afterwards?
Yeah, no, it was great. Like everybody came up after and chatted, but I will tell you, memorizing that was so much work. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do another one. Like, it's a lot of work.
Yeah. Cause you wrote it all yourself and then memorize. Okay.
I gotta memorize it. And it's just.
Do you have to show them ahead of time what you wrote? Okay. I thought so.
Yeah. And then they kind of meet with you and talk to you and kind of give some suggestions and things like that.
Okay.
So it's it's a process.
Very cool.
Shoot, I'm so glad I did it. Will I do it again? Maybe, but I'll tell you what, I'm getting tired and I can't memorize things. So I'm like,
but you speak from the heart kind of girl. And that shows on all your other news segments on the Good Morning La La Land and Hallmark, everything. So you're just be yourself. You've already sold that. And in your inspiration, going back to sort of your past, I was struck by the, Hit Me Baby One More Time music video with Britney Spears. I think that rang true for all of us. I remember being with my dad for the summer. We were working together after one of my college years. And it was so, I just watched her video over and over and over again. My dad's like, would you stop? But I was obsessed also with the butt and the abs. And I'm like, and then I totally copied her outfit and I had all the moves down. And it was like,
you actually could be Britney Spears. So
that's what helped you.
Spears. Yeah. So, cause you look great. So, but yeah, no, it's so crazy. Like we see these images and it's, we want to be them, but diet and exercise can totally help. But sometimes too, like we all have a fit range for what our body is and we have to love that and celebrate it. I'm an Italian girl. I'm 4'11". Like I don't have a lot of real estate in the torso. You know what I mean? So it's like, I have to, love like what I look like, at my healthiest, fittest self. And that might not be somebody who's, freaking 5'6", or I don't know how tall Britney is. That might be petite. But you know what I mean? We're different. We have to love what we can do.
But you carry it beautifully, but it's good knowledge because someone who is 4'11", that weight's going to show faster than someone who's taller. Yeah. So, and you carry it beautifully, as I said. What are the services you offer behind Eat Cute? Your blog is fascinating and it's so beautiful with colors. But what do you offer to clients?
Yeah, so I coach people virtually. So I try to make it simple. So people can either work with me virtually once, and it really depends upon what people are looking for, because some people are just like, they've read a ton of books, they really know their body, and they just need a few tweaks. And I'm not going to force them to do like a whole package with me if they don't need it, So I offer one-on-ones, and that could either be a half session, which is 30 minutes, or a full session, which is an hour. And then I also do like a package of 3 for somebody who's maybe like, I want to take my time and meet with me once a week, over over a month period, 3 sessions. And kind of work slowly and make small adjustments. Cause I think one of the things about health is people get really, get really excited and we want to do it all at once. It's like, I'm going to wake up early, I'm going to work out, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to make matcha, like whatever that is. And it's just a lot. And I think taking our time and really making those things habits where you kind of just wake up and you start to crave these habits and it feels more effortless versus trying to do a laundry list of all these things that just feel very unattainable and sometimes foreign to you, you know?
Right. And sometimes just incorporating one per week. And then if you go down a week in some area, just pick yourself up because it's a lifestyle, not just for these 3 sessions. You want to create a lifestyle.
Yeah, you know, so, that's you're an athlete. You're amazing. Yeah.
But but some people don't realize that. They think that it's a quick fix and it's going to happen tomorrow. No. And the minute they screw up, they beat themselves up. Like, especially people on keto. On keto, if they go into, like one of my friends has been keto and he's lost a ton of weight. He went camping and he was like dying because he ate s'mores and he was feeling so guilty. I'm like, I'm sure you came out of ketosis for a second. You're going to go back in. I mean, you usually don't want to do that in keto, but I could not do that diet. There's no way.
Yeah, no, it's not for me either.
Yeah, but some people it really works well.
No, it totally depends. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
But you also, do you still eat absolutely no refined sugar?
Yeah, I'm like a weirdo like that. Like for me, I love fresh fruit. Like I use that and I bake all the time. So I'll make recipes with using bananas to sweeten things or fresh berries and things like that. But look, I'm not perfect. I'm sure if I've gone to a restaurant and maybe there was some sugar in a sauce that I didn't realize, but I really try to, just not have it. And it feels so easy. Like some people are like, oh, do you feel like you're missing out? I'm like, no, like honestly, I make dessert every night. Like I have dessert all the time.
That's great.
I never feel guilty because I'm like, I'm using ingredients that I feel are really wonderful and make me feel good.
There's so many substitutions, even for junk food. If you're craving like a hot dog, there's so many ways to go around that, to getting that same satiety, that same flavor. So people will definitely have to check out your sweets because that's sweet tooth is a big thing. And I am a victim. I love Splenda. I don't know. It's so bad for you.
I know.
It's so bad for you. I don't care.
I know. You're just that's where I'm at. Yeah.
I've got to pick my battles.
Yeah.
I just love Splenda. And I mean, how many boxes I buy is really almost embarrassing. But I really, again, I don't do a lot of things incorrectly, but this one, I know.
I mean, I think we're never going to be perfect. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's like 80-20. If you can 80% of the time eat really great healthy foods and 20% is, whatever that is for you, a glass of wine, a little pack of Splenda. You know what I mean?
Thank you. It's not a pack. It's like the whole.
Well, we're all there. You look great. So there's that. But like, I think we got to give ourselves a little bit of leeway because then if you feel like you can never have it, then that's where it becomes stressful and then we just go off.
Then you're a robot. You don't enjoy life at all. So thank you for saying that.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah.
So could we please go over, you and I had talked about a topic that we really wanted to talk about, and we can talk about a total makeover body diet. And when we say that, things that you can eat because you are what you eat. And I want to go over your thoughts on what you can eat that you can look and feel like $1 million just by consuming it. For the hair, the brain, the eyes, the ears, the heart, skin, bones, muscles, and breast tissue. Can we go over every single one and see what people can consume? Wonderful.
Yeah. So
what do you think about hair? How to keep hair shiny, glossy?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think having lots of healthy fats, I just think those are really great. And, growing up, I was in the 90s where, we were just terrified of it. It was like, if you had an avocado, it's like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. So things like that, I feel like anything with omega-3s are just so great for just, and things like bone broth too, anything with collagen is just really great, just in general for the hair and the skin and the nails and all of that. So that could look like, like bone broth, I love if you can just have it, and if you make it, like for me, and it really depends because look, not everybody consumes animal protein, which is totally great and awesome. But if you do, like I just save bones after I've made a chicken or fish and just put them in the freezer until you get enough and then put it in a pot, make some bone broth. You can do that.
Oh, that's good. And then it's less salty because some of the ones you buy are just full of salt.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, that's the thing what happens with so many health foods is people start seeing the trends. And so then there's like, collagen, just collagen everything, like collagen gum and collagen
water.
And, I'm like, is there, I don't know, but yeah, if you can get it close to its natural state, that's great. Omega-3s, that would be things like avocados. I just love olive oil. I just think it's good for you in an entirety.
Well, you're Italiano,
of course. I mean,
Yeah.
but it's just such a great anti-inflammation food, because that's the one thing that prevents us from looking our best, especially also feeling good. But it's just anything that causes inflammation it's a precursor to disease. So all those anti-inflammatory foods, healthy fats, oils, greens, things like that, those are just so great for that.
That's great. And what if someone's just not comfortable consuming any of those? Would an omega-3 supplement be okay?
Yeah, but you can also do walnuts too. Like walnuts are a great source of omega-3s, or chia seeds. Like there's so many great whole food ways to get those things. I always tell people, and this, so I'm not, but I'm telling other people.
I can always learn.
No, you know all this, but for me, we can't rely on supplements. Those are things that are just like the icing
added extra.
Yeah,
Sure.
totally.
Okay.
But yeah.
And how about for your brain?
Ooh, I mean, I already said this, but like walnuts, what thing is so cool? There's more articles on it, and I don't know all of them off the top of my head, but like, I think it's so neat. Like certain health foods look like the thing that they help. So like walnuts look like the cute little brain.
They do.
They're so good for your brain.
Completely. Exactly. Yeah. And walnuts aren't as good as like the other ones, because they're a little bitter, but yeah, that's a really good thing to add, because mostly people just do almonds and things like that. But that's another thing with nuts.
Yeah.
They're so high in fat that people are like, oh, eat nuts and it's really healthy. And they buy a big bag, and then it's just like per serving. It's insane. Like who wants to eat 2 walnuts? Not me.
No.
And whole bag.
No. And like, even like I was saying with the brain, with like olive oil and things, like our brain is made of 60% fat. So like healthy fats, like again, olive oil is just one of those things that they found it's so therapeutic. It's like having ibuprofen. It's just so great for your brain. You can also do things like flaxseed oil. You could do avocado oil. What was I going to say? Avocado oil. That's a great oil if you want to just be. It's really great for your brain. And there's also a company. I swear to God, I should have stock in it because I talk about them so much. But
you should.
Primal Kitchen. They use avocado oil as a base for a lot of their sauces and salad dressings and all sorts of goodies. So that's a nice way to sneak that in there too.
Have them sponsor you.
I know. I got to tell them.
Yeah. Now, how about for your ears? And ears, I think, are a big issue. Like I myself, I listen to my music so loud, and I'm always like talking. And I just feel like if I walk and I turn on the TV or anything, or turn on the car and the radio is like, boom.
Yeah, sure.
Am I losing my hearing? Because I need everything. I think with earbuds and everything, like in concerts where, no more, but.
Sure. Back in the day. Yeah, I mean, I don't get a lot of people coming to me with things for ear health, but yeah, listening to music at a lower level would be good. And then also I think like this is something that I tell clients, especially when we have young kids, is, I don't know if you are familiar a lot with Ayurvedic nutrition, like it's a sister science to yoga. And I really love what they have to say. And, one of the things that they talk about is the doshas, which are the different body types and things like that. And there's different ones. And so specifically with children, they are a lot of children are in that kapha stage where I don't know if you guys know what kapha is. In the doshas of Ayurvedic nutrition, it's the spring. So it's very wet, muddy time of year. And that's kind of like what people's bodies are like. Yeah. So what they were saying with kids is a lot of people, what we do is we're taught to give kids milk. And milk is just one of those things that can be, create a lot of mucus in the body. So, kids are in that part of their life where they're just kind of already very wet, muddy, like, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of mucus and, that kind of thing. And so we found that by giving kids a lot of milk at a young age can actually lead to a lot of ear infections. That's why you see so many kids with ear infections, because they're drinking milk, they're getting mac and cheese. It's just a lot of dairy. So it's creating a lot of extra mucus. So yeah, I mean, that's something with ear health that I think is interesting.
Yeah. I'd be interested, because I know the Asian countries don't really use a lot of milk at all.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they have the level of ear infections that we have in America. Well, they have a lot less diseases, obviously, lifestyle. But yeah, and I had my friend Shreets Bangs, who's an Ayurvedic therapist, talked about the doshas on the first episode. So I'll have to remind her that you said that, just to kind of.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what she says, because I'd love to learn more about that. When I was in nutrition school, we kind of touched on everything, and I thought Ayurvedic nutrition makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I think you'd be really good at it. So that's interesting about the ears. How about the heart and followed by the skin? What can we eat?
Ooh, I mean, one of those things that's great for the heart is beets, which also looks like a heart, which I think is pretty great.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, isn't it cool? And so now, especially that we're going into winter, those great root vegetables are going to be fantastic. And just a fun side note is like, if you're somebody who wants to definitely consume less sugar, the root vegetables tend to be a little more sweet, like sweet potatoes, yams, and those are really
Delicious.
great to so good, right? I mean, you could slice them up and toss them in some olive oil with some rosemary and sea salt and make these really almost like kind of sweet, delicious kind of
you can
meals.
roast them and they caramelize and they're fabulous.
I completely agree. So those are something that I think is really great. Yeah, but I would say beets are just great for heart health. And yeah, I always tell people too is like, really, this isn't necessarily a food, but just in terms of managing heart health is just making sure you're getting some exercise. It's just so good for you, to get that heart rate up. And whatever that looks like for you, whether it's, you could be tap dancing in your living room or lifting weights or whatever that is. It's just so good to do
move
that.
Your body. Absolutely. Yeah. Get that blood pumping.
Yeah.
And how about, and I'm so glad you said beets, because I'm Eastern European. So I grew up on a lot of beet borscht. It is the best thing in the world. So I crave like Russian and Slovakian and those kinds of foods.
Yeah.
And I actually just recently ordered the beet supplements to take on top of it, because Game Changers on Netflix had talked about a lot of athletes taking the beet supplements.
Ooh,
so
I'm going to look into that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Great. So thank you for the reminder on the beets. And then how about for your skin? I mean, there's so many things for your skin.
Skin is like one of you have beautiful skin, by the way. Skin is like thank you. It's, it's been a real challenge, but skin is one of those things that is like my passion, because I just think it's so neat. So I think for foods that help the skin, I just think this is not really a food, but like water is like, I'm telling people, you can really change your skin let's both take a sip, by just drinking the appropriate amount of water. It just really keeps you hydrated and plump. And that's such a great food for your skin. Things like tomatoes, they have a naturally occurring compound in them called lycopene, which is a natural internal sunscreen, which I think is neat. Now, that doesn't mean you can't wear sunscreen, but I'm like, my heirloom tomatoes are going to protect me.
But that's another food that you are what you eat. You're going to get sunburn if you don't eat enough of these and add sunburn, red face.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. See, I love where you're doing. Yeah. So things like that. And again, it's so neat because a lot of these foods do the same thing. So it's like, again, those healthy fats are just so great. If you do consume animal protein, collagen is just really wonderful for the skin. And then, just drink a ton of water and lots of leafy, because it's all connected, right? So it's like, let's say I'm eating foods like, for example, like dark leafy greens are really great because they have a natural occurring sugar that feed gut bacteria. So in turn, like having a healthier gut is going to impact your skin, because our skin is our largest organ. So if you're fighting things, a lot of times it's being pushed out through the skin. So it's
Absolutely.
Really consuming, it's everything. I'm feeding my gut because it's going to make my skin better, and my hair, it all kind of goes together.
It's a direct indicator of what's going on inside the body. And I've also talked to, just being in the industry, certain makeup artists who specialize in areas of the face. For example, if it's on the chin, or you get an acne breakout, or a lot of them, that's usually from hormonal acne. And if it's on the forehead, that's something else. It's a stress hormone or something like that. So it's very interesting.
It's called like face mapping, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it's really neat. And I always try to tell people that, because sometimes like, things happen to us and we get so upset, but I'm like, your body's trying to tell you something's going on, and I know the first thing is like, oh, I'm breaking out, but it's like, let's look at that. Like your body's saying like, hey, if it's here on my chin, it's like, there might be a hormonal imbalance. What can we do to get that going? Because it's just like a little warning light on a car. Like, hey, look at this.
Absolutely. I used to get trained to iced coffee Starbucks, and I would put the vanilla soy in it because it was so delicious.
Yeah.
And then followed by, 2 boxes of Splenda, of course.
Of course.
But I noticed I was getting really itchy, and I was getting like a rash on my chin. And I just thought, after that makeup artist had said hormonal, and I'm thinking soy, hormones in the soy. Yeah. And then I eliminated it, which was, hard. Have you ever eliminated off Starbucks coffee?
I haven't, but I bet it's hard. I bet it's hard.
It is like a cocaine withdrawal. I wouldn't know what a cocaine withdrawal is, but it was crazy.
Similar, yeah, totally. No, yeah, absolutely.
But it cleared up right away. I mean, besides the fact that I was spending too much money at Starbucks, but
that was the culprit, was the soy milk.
Isn't that crazy? And
Yes.
it's like one little thing, because I think a lot of times it's like, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy acne medicine. I'm like, let's look at what's causing it before, like, let's not put the Band-Aid on. Let's try to see if we can get to the root of it.
And then you get all dry and like cakey, and that's not even helping the problem. It's just actually making it worse. Some of these acne medications spread that.
Yeah.
So well, good for the skin. And that's a huge bonus in entertainment industry too, because you're in front of the camera. So it picks up on everything for HD. And probably it'll be a lot of the same foods, but your bones, I mean, that'll come from bone broth, I'm sure.
Yeah, totally. Collagen, things like that. One of the things I see most people are deficient in is vitamin D, and that is definitely connected to calcium. So that is one of the things that I do tell people you do need to supplement with. It's just, even if you live in sunny California, people are still coming up short with vitamin D. So
we're actually one of the lowest in the country, which
isn't that crazy
to me.
Yeah, but I think something like Seattle or something. But
absolutely. But one doctor said that because there's so much just the layer of ozone and everything like that, and the smog, we are prevented. It creates like a layer. So
so that's one of those things I think definitely supplement with that. In addition,
that causes depression too, lack thereof. It's seasonal disorder.
Isn't that crazy?
And it can be one little pill if you don't want to take a vitamin D, because it's a fat soluble, isn't it?
Yes. Look at you. Yes, it is. Yes. I like a brand from Ancient Nutrition just because what I think is cool about their supplements is they mix a lot of adaptogenic herbs in their products. So I'm sure but if you don't, adaptogenic herbs help our body adapt to stress. So there's different ones, like there's, for example, like lion's mane, for example, and it's so cool. You should totally look up some of these mushrooms online because they're so cool. A lot of them tend to be mushrooms.
Huge rage, like chaga, all of those.
Yeah, totally. Like those, a lot of them tend to be mushrooms. Although like turmeric and things like that, that's an adaptogen as well, which is not a mushroom. But I think it's really neat. So they mix a lot of those herbs in with your supplement, which I think is just extra fun. So
added boost for sure.
Yeah,
and that's Ancient Nutrition.
Yeah, Ancient Nutrition. That's if you're not familiar with Dr. Axe, that's his company.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down. Sounds really interesting. And then how about for muscles? Muscles is huge, especially for men. And I myself, I lift weights almost every day. What would be the best supplements or foods to take for just strong muscles?
Sure. I mean, one of the things is just, I tell people to actually, I'm going to go back on this. So this is not food related, but I think it's very important. Sleep is so important, especially for people when you're trying to build muscle, because when you're sleeping, especially in that first anabolic stage of sleep, that's when you produce the HGH, which is the human growth hormone. So it's so cool. They did a study where they took two different groups and they put them on the same diet, and the first group had more sleep and the second group had less. And even though they were working out the same and eating the same amount of calories, the people who slept more had more success in the gym. They looked better. They were able to lose more body fat. And that, a lot of that has to do with you're producing that HGH at night. So making sure you're getting anywhere between 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night is crucial, and also high quality sleep. So a lot of times now, especially with COVID, we're looking at screens all the time, especially before bed. And that really does affect the quality of our sleep. Even if you are like physically in bed and you're closing your eyes, like you need to get into that deep state of sleep where you're restoring yourself. So that's huge. So that's not food related, but in terms of foods, I mean, they do say that muscle builds protein. So just, if you do consume animal protein, if you can, getting clean versions of that. And that means like, things that don't have added hormones or antibiotics. And if you're doing vegetarian, just making sure you're getting that B12 in, because that's one of the things that you have to have if you're a vegetarian. And look, there's cool things out there like spirulina. Those are great sources of protein, chlorella, and that's vegetarian. Seaweed. Oh, I love seaweed.
Me too. Oh my God.
It's
love
so
it.
good. Yeah.
I'm always at HK Market. Do you go to Koreatown a lot?
You know what? I get this brand. This company is so cool. They send it to me, and it's this company called Sea Snacks, and they send me this awesome, like, it's just sea salt, or no, it's just olive oil and seaweed, and it's freaking great. So.
Oh, the little thin wafers. Snacks. Yeah, those are really good. Really good. Yeah. And what about for breast health? Because there's just seems to be, I mean, there was just a TikTok star who's 19 on the news today that she was diagnosed with breast cancer. I feel like it's more and more, and I know a lot of it. I've always been a runner, and I've always put my cell phone in my sports bra because I don't want to hold on to it.
Yeah.
And even that right there can cause breast cancer.
Yeah.
And also for men, putting a laptop on their lap and watching TV without a pillow underneath can cause testosterone cancer,
Isn't that
prostate
crazy?
cancer.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think those things, that's something you can do right off the bat, like starting today, like, yeah, being conscious of where we have our, our phones are attached to us at all times. So it's like being a little more thoughtful about where we keep them and how much we're on them. And then, there's a lot of debate about soy, but I do think that soy has estrogen mimicking compounds in it. So that's what can, I think can be problematic. So, if you are somebody who's vegetarian, having fermented forms of soy like miso is incredible for anybody, whether you're vegetarian or not. It's really healthy, really nutritious. That's a great form.
So delicious.
Or tempeh, that's fermented as well. So that's just a better choice instead of just tofu and things like that. And then this is something I highly recommend is whether you're a man or woman, opening up your pantry, your beauty cat, wherever you keep your beauty products, and looking at all of those products, because our skin is our largest organ. And a lot of us are putting a lot of chemicals that, I don't know if you guys have watched that documentary, Stink, but it talks about the fragrance industry and the chemicals, and it's very unregulated and kind of terrifying. So there is an app out there. It's called Healthy Living. It's created by the Environmental Working Group. And they can give you can scan your products and they'll give you a rating for how toxic they are, what makes them toxic. And I just think that is so huge when it comes to just being conscious of what's causing cancer. So many people are having those, cancer now. And it's I think, we're all being exposed to so many chemicals, and that has a lot to do with it, in addition to poor diet.
You're so right, because just being in the industry for as long as we have,
Yeah.
I started developing just terrible allergies to makeup. I can barely wear makeup. I can barely wear mascara. I use one product. It's called Vanicream, which means it's vanished.
Oh, yeah.
Means vanishing. Yes, because it means vanishing of formulas, dyes, everything. It's just so pure. I am even allergic to sunblock. I have to get Vanicream sunblock.
Oh,
I'm on set and I have to always bring my own stuff to the makeup artist. I'm like, you do a beautiful job. I absolutely cannot have any of your products on my skin. I bring my own, and literally, I hate to say it, but the cheapest of the cheap is what works for me. Wet n Wild is one of the only things I can use as eyeshadow, because it's so cheap. They don't add all those fragrances and dyes. I mean, I'm just not I'm not a makeup girl. I don't like anything on my skin. I love clean skin. But it was a terrible rash. Like, I've gone anaphylactic from makeup remover. Yeah, really crazy. I was in a runway show, and all they did was swipe under my eye, because it was like mascara was running, and my face turned into like what looked like a basketball. It was red and raised, and it was just like puffy, and my throat closed. And and so when you have your eyes closed when you get your makeup done, I can hear the swoosh of the makeup wipe coming out, and then I say, "Is that a makeup remover wipe?" "Oh, it sure is." And then I have to like grab her hand and say, "I'm so sorry, but it's my responsibility. It's not their fault." I would hate for someone to feel guilty. I'm like, no, it's my responsibility to bring my own in and tell you that I get terrible allergic reactions. So
yeah, and I think sometimes, like, we just don't know. It might be, we just don't know. We think, oh, I have acne or I have this thing, but I think your body's trying to tell you something, and so your body's definitely like, no.
I know. And some people will say like, oh, no, but it's an organic product. Well, so is poison ivy. That's organic. I don't put that on my skin. Yeah. So
I think it's
a tough one, but I think I got it from all the onset of being exposed to so many products, just like you said. And I love that documentary, Stink. In fact,
it's cool, right?
I hosted an interview with a director,
cool.
when it came out. So yeah, I'll have to go back and check that out again. And then for our final things, the top 4 foods that you would eliminate. And we've kind of already covered this already.
Sure.
One would be causing acne, and we've already discussed the dairy, things like that. How about just anti-carcinogens? How can we keep ourselves at our best to avoid cancer there's really no rhyme or reason to it, but anything that we can take to combat it. Do you recommend any foods or supplements?
Well, I just, I think everybody's bodies are so different, but I will say is, how can we really try to consume products that have no ingredients list? I think that's, to make things really simple, a carrot or a yam, you know what I mean? Things that don't have an ingredients list, I think can give you a lot more control about what goes into your food. especially now, unfortunately, with Postmates and things like that, a lot of us are ordering out. And look, I'm not telling you not to support your local restaurant, because I think we should. But most of the time, restaurants will cook with canola oil, which is just a really cheap processed oil that is not great for us. And so, some people, we're relying on delivery and things like that. So the more control you have over what goes in your ingredients, I think is so important. And it's like, what it is? People will say, I don't have time. And I think we have to build it into our lives and just make the time to, it's like you make time to, I hope, to take a bath. Like there's just things we have to do to help, to be good to our bodies. It's like, I have to work out. You have to make time to make yourself a nourishing meal.
It has to be a priority, because these people have time to watch Netflix for 5 hours.
Sure. So it's like, we got to find the time. So I think that is important. And look at the products you're using, because a lot of times, I have clients come to me and they're eating so beautifully. And then, then it's like, well, what do you put on your skin? And it's like, oh, well, I never thought about that. So I think that's important too.
And that's really hard. I know that it's easy for us to say, and people that have, come from food deserts, and then they only see like a Jack in the Box and something else. And do they even have a car to go to the grocery store? And then they have 4 kids. I mean, that's the problem in this country. I mean,
it's a big problem.
It is. And I know that a lot of grocery stores like Aldi put one into some of the low income areas, and that they have a ton of produce, and just to make it more affordable. And there's farmers markets and things like that, but it is hard to prepare. So people like you and I, we're so interested in it, and we're also come from a little bit of privilege. And
we're totally fortunate. I mean, I live in California and LA, which is just it's so easy to eat healthy here. And I travel sometimes a lot to colleges, and they don't have don't have it.
I travel a ton, and I always have to order ahead. I always have to look ahead. Sometimes I get things delivered from Amazon to the hotel, and I kid you not, the last time I was in Vegas, they charged me at the front desk just to take the delivery. Was they gave me I was charged $75 because the food was sent there, and they had to find real estate on a conference table. So $75 on top of
ridiculous.
The Amazon order that was like $110. I'm like, oh my God, why can't I just eat junk food? No,
that's hard. So, one of the things that I think is cool is, we have the opportunity to vote with our dollar. So I think ideally the more we help, I would just love for food to just, I think when you walk into the grocery store, the organic section is always separate from the non-organic. And I just would love it all to be good. You know what I mean? Eventually you just walk in the door and it's all good. And, I think just, if you do have the money, how do you support companies and brands that have a mission to, for example, like Thrive Market, every time you purchase the membership, they can give money to people that, buy groceries for people that don't have the money. So if you do have it, take the time to research where you're shopping and what you can do to help, because I think it is a huge issue, and I would like to definitely help with that.
Yeah. Like today, I just called LA Food Pantry yesterday because I have like a monstrosity of boxes full of food to donate. And I called her. I'm like, I'm on crutches. I can't do this properly. And I said, would there be any way to have it picked up? She hasn't called me yet, but I just think about all the little kids, all these kids with families, and kids that aren't in school, and then they're not having school lunch. I mean, at the very least, school lunch, it absolutely kills me. So, I mean, just giving as much as you can, and then we have the fires and people are out. But I think just giving back, especially if we come from some kind of privilege, like always, like just, I don't take anything for granted. And
it's so cool. I was listening to a podcast, and I'm so embarrassed that I can't remember where I listened to it or what country this is in, but I want to say Sweden, but they have all these wonderful communal gardens everywhere where people can just kind of walk around and just pick whatever is available. And I think that is so cool and so beautiful. So I don't know if there's a way to kind of recreate that here, but I think it's so neat. Yeah,
it is. And Sweden does a lot of things. I mean, look at the way they handled COVID, but it is they follow the rules. It's a tighter country. Yeah. They're all Swedish. And here we have all of everybody. So there's a lot of egos, and Americans are just, but in concept, absolutely. And then, and we already covered the other ones, but what are your future goals for Eat Cute in your blog and the things that because you have so much yet to accomplish besides what you already have done?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, I think about that all the time. I definitely am working right now. I'm working on creating some virtual classes that, I can make things affordable so anybody could have a session, in the sense that it's a module, is almost like a little class you can go through and really cover specific topics. I think that would be really fun. And I do want to write more cookbooks. Like I've only written one book, and it's for college kids, but I'd love to create a cookbook, kind of with the mindset of just using really simple, natural ingredients. Because I'll tell you what, every time I buy a cookbook, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll make that, but I don't, because there's like 10, 10 plus ingredients. I'm like, it's too much.
And you only need like a pinch of one. It's like
I want really like simple recipes that people would actually make. So that's kind of on the pipeline for me.
I love that. And I think you'd be brilliant. One of my friends is a nutritionist, and she was a counselor at I hate to say fat camp, but it was an overweight, It was like a wellness camp. But most of the kids were, obese actually for their age groups. And she taught a nutrition class, but she said she was not prepared at all for the amount of other like psychological things that these kids have. And I think that you would really understand them, especially with what you went through as a child, just with the competition with your sister, even though it was friendly competition, being compared to other people. But I don't think that she said that she was not prepared to handle that part of it, because it was so devastating for her to hear that it was mostly girls, were so stressed out, especially in women. And it happens in men also. But women tend to be a bit cattier sometimes, and at that age, and I think you'd be wonderful there.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
And if you create these virtual classes, I also think it can go into the school system. I just interviewed Diane Yang, and this is a podcast we put up today, Friday. She, I had done a lot of studies on Western culture versus Eastern. And I was asking her about what she saw as a Chinese American. And even in Japan, the kids are taught nutrition at a young age. They're little tiny kids in aprons, learning about what goes into their bodies, and then they're preparing the food for lunch, and then they're serving their friends, and then their friends serve them. So there's already an anti-elitist, like, I'm not better than you because you're serving me. And they're learning from day one.
It's so freaking cool. I think that is so neat. Yeah. I think a lot of that starts with education, and,
virtual classes could be put to the education system, academics everywhere.
I would love that. That would be the dream.
Let's work on that goal for you.
Yeah. Let's add that to the list.
And finally, what has been your favorite cheat food during COVID-19?
Oh, here's the thing. I never cheat. I actually call it a treat, because I hate calling it a cheat because there's like a negative connotation.
Yeah, that's good.
But also, like, I never eat anything that like I don't think is going to help my body and that doesn't taste good. So for me, I've been like, the other day I made pumpkin spice muffins with like chocolate chips, and the chocolate chips are by this company, Lakanto, that uses monk fruit. So yeah, it felt naughty, but it was great.
It really wasn't. No,
so like for me, it was so great.
You naughty girl.
Look at me. I think that's the one thing that I like to really impart to people is like, eating healthy doesn't have to be a really bland and boring thing. It can be really fun, and just being a little creative and just giving time for your taste buds to adjust. Real food is delicious, and it's amazing, and it's just so nutrient packed. So for me, it never feels like deprivation at all.
And I love that you look at it as a non-negative, like a treat versus a cheat, because we don't want to look at foods as rewards. We want to look at it as a lifestyle. Everything should be rewarded. Everything should be appreciated. Well, this has been wonderful. And I will put all the links to follow you, but for the most part, it's alexandracatalano.com. And then you're also the same thing on Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter.
Instagram and Twitter is my blog name, which is Eat Cute.
Eat Cute. Okay. Well, I'll put all those in the links below. You have been wonderful, and I will also put all the links to your TED Talks and things like that. So
thank you. Well, you've been a treat.
Absolutely. And you've been a cheat because you are naughty. No.
Yeah, totally.
Well, I've enjoyed the process so much, and I wish you and your boyfriend and your dog a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. You too.
And that was media personality Alexandra Catalano. Her Eat Cute wellness business, and what she consumes in order to feel like $1 million. Please stay tuned in next week, where I feature athlete and true survivor Vincent Rutley, who knows the meaning of never giving up on life's goals and how to continue to fight for what you want. We appreciate you for listening, and please subscribe and rate the show on iTunes. You can also listen on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Luminary, Tuned In, or at Bleav.com. You can reach out to me for any questions or topics you'd like covered on the show at Anne McDaniels, and I'll see you next time on So